All right. Audio seems good. Ooh, that cracking came in very nicely. Hey guys, Dante here, and welcome back to my channel, The Burgle Thought. It's been a while since I've done. But I say it's been a while. My schedule's been very on and off when it comes to these art streams. My art streams have been a bit iffy lately. I want to get back into it because I want to work on some. I guess want to build up my stock of certain art projects I'm working on. What I mean is, this is a product I made, even has my logo on the back. I am selling these at conventions. I made these for the last convention I did, which was the Long Island Retro Gaming. It is of my design, so I 3D modeled and then printed the Game Boy remote. I then took one of those remotes, molded some extra details. In this case, this slime around it. I apologize if it's coming. If I go too high, it gets really flooded. Sorry about that. You can probably see it better here. So it's kind of like a '90s, late '80s, '90s kind of like green ice cream bar, if you would. And I wanted to make a few more, so we're going to be painting those today. That's pretty much what we're doing right there. I've also tried some new things, so bear with me. I'm going to try something. Let's do a test. Chat and see what happens. Stand by. It's supposed to make a noise. Or was the noise only something I hear? Hold on. Let's try again. So anyway, what I'm testing right now is a new chat notification that I don't have to always look over at my secondary window. Not that we have many chats in these streams, but it's good to have, you know. Oh, too many. It's just too much. If you're thinking of getting into streaming, people, be aware. There's a lot to get through. Such as the fact that my music also stopped. That was very weird. Oh, I have a feeling that the chat notification. No, I guess the chat notification isn't interfering with the music. Very weird. Unless. Stand by, guys. I'm just fiddling with stuff. Sorry. See the tease I'm doing? Gonna test this out. What do they say? Put F in chat. I don't know. Chat box is on. Chat box is on. Yeah, and it says it is registering when I type something in. I just don't hear it. You know what? Something to figure out. We're not gonna linger on that. We're gonna go right into the painting, people. Let's get some painting done. So everything's been primed. I have a purposely a pre-mixed light gray to get it just right. So we're gonna just go ahead and get all the light gray areas first. Remember to recycle. Hoping everyone had a good October, primarily a good happy Halloween. My Halloween went very well. Very tiresome, but very well. And that's for anyone who does celebrate Halloween. I know not everyone does. For let it be where you live, where what you choose to celebrate. It's up to you, of course. I live in New York City, and we have the Halloween Day Parade, which I actually walked in this year. I normally don't, but for God's sake, it was like 70 degrees here in New York on Halloween. The weather around here has been up and down in the States. So like right now, it's 40. So it went from like 70 to 60 to 40, and it's gonna go back up again, I bet you. By the end of the week, it's probably gonna go back up. It's a very nature is going through menopause, people. It's all very weird. 'Tis the end times. I'm choking a chip when I said that. So we're matching this. Or at least as best as we can anyway. So I'm just going to kind of go from one to the next, repeating the process. So I did the rim on that one. I'm going to do the rim on this one. And then we'll take a smaller brush and we'll go and do the finer details. So like I said, I made this with a 3D printer and 3D sculpting. So I went online. And I'm sure I could have found a model online, but I wanted to do it myself. And I 3D sculpted this remote in pieces, because the actual 3D model, each piece, each different color, from the deep black to the light gray to the brown and the reds, are all separate models, so I could print them all in different colors and then just assemble them. And the 3D model is just the main shape. It doesn't have this spillage on the side. But then I decided to just turn it into a sculpture. So like I said, I 3D modeled it, printed it out, glued it together, and then using cheese wax, red wax, the kind, Baby Bell kind of wax, I went ahead and I sculpted the green slime on the side of it, the gooey center, the Ninja Turtle green that we all used to have when you were, well, not all of us, but if you were born in the 80s, Ninja Turtles was everywhere, even more so now. And they had green filled everything. Then I made a mold of that. So rather than wait like several hours, for individual pieces to print and then assemble them, I wait 15 minutes, make a resin casting off the mold, and then the real time now is the hand painting part. So it's a trade-off. You get the instant piece, but you gotta paint it. Yeah, I want to get one good gray coat on all of them. It's acrylic, so it dries quickly. So by the time I'm on the last one, the first one's just about ready to be painted as well, with a second coat. I won't lie, it is a pain trying to get the fine details on these. But as they say, you gotta trust the process. If your art project isn't coming out the way you want it, trust the process. So, we are entering November. On November, I want to say 23rd. I'm going to double check that. But November 20-ish, I will be at Big Apple winter, not so much a con. It's not really a Comic-Con. It's like a winter shop. But it will have, con-like activities. People are going to be there, probably in costume. We're going to have a few special guests. But yeah, it's my first time doing it. Admittedly, it's a bit expensive to have a table there. I'm aware of that. But I've always wanted to try Big Apple. They have two. They have one in the springtime. That's a legit 2-day event. And then they have this winter one. So I figured squeeze in one more convention before the end of the year. By the way, I went to New York Comic Con. Speaking of conventions, that was fun. Tiresome as hell, but very fun. Stand by for a moment. I just want to check something. Yeah. Very odd. Sorry, just double checking. Hey, the chat box. The sound of the chat box is working. I just can't hear it, and I don't know why. I don't really have to be clean when it comes to painting around the buttons. 'Cause I'm gonna paint black around that afterwards anyway. That's why I have to be really careful in how clean I make it. So, New York Comic Con. Very fun, very tiresome. Because I went for 4 days, and oh my lord, there's a lot to see. I mean, you could cover a lot if you're a fast walker in just 2 days, but when you want to squeeze in all the panels, then you really have to set up your schedule properly. So I got some cool stuff. The entire cast from Starship Troopers was there. And I got Michael Ironside. Freaking awesome name. I got Michael Ironside to sign a picture, a poster image he had. But not from Starship Troopers, from Total Recall. And I had him sign it. See you at the party, Dante. Anyone who's ever seen Total Recall knows like the final line Arnold Schwarzenegger says to him before he dispatches him. If you haven't seen it, I'm not going to tell you exactly how he does it. Total Recall, check it out. It is such a fun movie. It's that sweet spot of like, was it 90s or 80s? But definitely like late 80s, early 90s, like violence. Just squibs everywhere. Like Verhoeven, Robocop level of violence, Yeah, so I got him to sign that. That was very nice. Then, through absolute happenstance, if that's the right word, or you could call it sheer luck if you want, I passed a cosplayer dressed as the Shredder. But he's dressed as the live action Shredder. I just touched the wrong. I keep grabbing these at the wrong spot. He was dressed as the live action Shredder from the original Ninja Turtle movie. Best Shredder, best live action movie for Ninja Turtles. Don't at me. I don't care about the last two live action ones. Like, if you want like atmosphere, like literal like atmosphere, not just jumping off a rooftop action, but like, yeah, this is New York. It's dirty. The actual ninjas that hide in the shadows. Like, watch the 90s movie. Please, I implore you. 90s Ninja Turtle movie. So anyway, this guy's dressed as the Shredder from there. And I go, oh, cool, man. Can I get a photograph for you? It's a great, great costume. Yeah, typical discussion among fans. Hey, great costume. Enjoy the convention. And before he leaves, he says, hey, do you know the guy is here, right? I go, excuse me? He goes, yeah. The actor, James Sato? James Sato is here. I'm like, where? He was not listed as a special guest. He was not in Artist Alley. He was just at some random table. Like, I guess he's a friend with someone who had got a dealer's booth. And there he was. So I got myself an autograph. And I managed to get a second autograph from my good buddy, Clitoris Rex, who was an absolute hardcore Ninja Turtle fan. There was no way I was going to get just an autograph for myself, man. You can't do that. If you know someone who can't make it to the conventions for one reason or another, but they're also a big geek, if someone's there that they really wish they could see, you call that person. You tell them, hey, dude, so-and-so's here. You want to sneak in? I'll give you my badge. Or in this case, Clitoris Rex handed to me a really personal piece of Ninja Turtle merchandise that he had since he was like a little kid. Like, it was really personal to him. He was like, can you get him to sign this? I go, absolutely, dude. So that was an awesome experience. So I got those autographs. Oh, also, I was wandering around Artist Alley. It's very rare that I look for artists by name because I'm horrible with names, but visually I'm great. So I'll recognize. I mean, there's part people I've met, and solely on their art style, I'm like, yo, are you this guy? Did you like draw this random picture for this random thing? Yada yada yada. And the guy's like, yeah, how'd you know? I go, because I recognize your art style. And you won't believe how some people, even professionals, are like, really? I say professionals as in like people who've been in the industry for years but don't always get like the recognition. Maybe they're like character designers, like the people who did the design for Vox Machina, right? Like their art style, like the main character designer for Vox Machina, like you might recognize that art style from other places. But anyway, I'm walking around and I see an artist. Well, I see a booth, right? And it's artwork of X-23, Wolverine's daughter, right? I'm like, oh, that's really cool, especially because the artwork on display specifically was of an artist I recently came across on Instagram. Oh, sorry, correction, on Twitter. It is not X, it is Twitter. Who has been recently drawing X-Men characters in a, as he calls it, Disney style. So I see the picture. I'm like, oh, that's cool. It's X-23, like, in that guy's style. But then, here's the fun part. Then, I noticed the other artwork at this one table in Artist Alley are all different. It's like different versions of X-23. Turns out it wasn't the illustrator that was there. It was her original creator. So for those of you who don't know, X-23, the girl from the movie Logan, Logan's clone slash daughter, is a lot like Harley Quinn. She was a cartoon character that became so popular, they were like, we're going to put this in the comic and make her official. So she was written into a cartoon a while back called X-Men Evolution. X-Men Evolution was essentially a cartoon created during the first 3 X-Men movies. That was like a complete rehash of the X-Men series. So it's all the X-Men characters essentially as teenagers. Most of them, not all of them. Most of them as teenagers. And had a really interesting premise, which kind of makes sense. They live at the school, they train at the school, but they go to school in a regular high school. Because there's no teachers at the X-Men Academy. Think about it. It's like, what, 3 people? You have Storm, Beast, and like Professor Xavier, and that's it. So the idea was like, well, what if they go to school in a regular school and they're still keeping their X-Men powers secret while training? I like the premise. Very good premise. Anyway, X-Men Evolution, she shows up in one random episode. Then she disappears for a while. She shows up again. So you have the intro episode and then a follow-up of like, where did she go after she like disappeared? And she became so beloved by, I guess, the fans in general, that eventually they stuck her into the comics, tweaked her origin slightly to match the comics a bit more than it would the cartoon. And the rest is history. And the guy was there, the original writer, the actual like guy who like created this concept. And we had a short conversation. And I joked with him. I told him, if you go online, her Google post relates her to Harley Quinn and many other characters like her who started off as cartoon characters. He goes, really? I go, yeah. She's like part of a genre of people now, a genre of characters. We had a nice little conversation, and I got his autograph. I have an autograph of the original creator of X-23. And he was telling me when he wrote the character, he never expected her to really take off. That's his baby all of a sudden. Like, that's my thing. That's where he put it. He's like, this is my thing. It's grown. Seeing my baby grow. He was a really nice guy. I think in terms of autographs, that was all I got. I got the 2 awesome actors, 1 amazing writer. That once again, and 2 of them I had no idea. And two of those people, I had no idea were going to even be there. Took a bunch of photographs, like I said. Got a bunch of nice photographs of cosplayers. There was so many people walking around that you can't even get everyone's photographs. Sometimes you see them for a second, and they get swarmed by the audience. People just around them. And you have to, like, walk off. There's also moments where, like, you gotta be respectful, man. You know how many times I've asked someone, hey, do you mind if I take a photograph? And they're just about to sit down to eat. And they're like, and the moment I see hesitation, I go, don't worry about it, man. Have a good convention. And I walk away. And that's it. Some people can't do that, man. Some people are like, no, I'll wait while you eat your burger and stuff. Like, dude, back off. Give them a minute. I wore my costume all 3 days, all 4 days. I wore my costume, not the entire day, I mind you. My costume is made specifically where I could, like, take it off and carry it with me. Is it a bit cumbersome? Yes, but I can at least take it off and carry it with me. I was once again the Statue of Tyranny. Check out, where is it? Right there. Check out the Instagram of the Burgos Art to see a handful of photos I took of other people. I think I got maybe like 20 good photos of other people walking around. I got some good shots, and you'll see photographs of my costume, the Statue of Tyranny from Ninja Turtles: Shredder's Revenge. I wore it last year, but I had to fix part of it up, so I fixed it. Wore it again this year, and I wore it to the Halloween Day Parade. Got some nice photos of that. I got some nice photos taken of me. Not everyone knows what it is, but a lot of people seem to appreciate it. Which reminds me, I need to do a Google search because I was interviewed by 2 different people who were just, doing their own kind of news thing at the at New York Comic Con. But I never got a chance to, like, exchange cards with them. So I gotta look online for those. And I also got videotaped, essentially for B-roll, by the Comic-Con photographer. Whether or not that'll end up in any final cut, I don't know. But it should all be up by now. Alright, since I am using... what was I gonna say? Oh, hold on. What is going on here? One moment, please. One moment, please. There we go. So I had to adjust something on the screen. Alright, since I'm using the little handle as a handle, let's go back to the greens. Let's do a base coat of green. Trying to get this, like, light green, like this kind of Nickelodeon green, was really hard, but at least I could do a base color of green. So let's do that. Oh, what was that? That was very weird. Sorry about that. Oh. Aha. Oh, ho, ho. Un momento. Un momento. Por favor. I'm using a new wireless headset, and I pressed a button on it, and the button paused the music, but like unpaused a YouTube video that was like in the background. It's all very, very odd. Alright, so let's get to the greens. We're gonna more or less do the same thing we did for the grays. We are going to just do one pass, put it down, let it dry, and then we'll go from one to the next to the next. And by the time we get to the last one, we can start doing the first one. Give that acrylic a little time to dry, you know? Gonna pull this towards me for a second. Woo! The music you're hearing, by the way, is all from Streamlabs. It's from their library, which looks like I think it's expanded a little bit. From what I could tell, there's a few more like categories. But we've got to be careful because even though it's in Streamlabs, which is meant to be copyright free, well, I don't get flagged on Streamlabs for it, obviously. Well, no, correction, I don't get flagged. Depends where. I think the last video I did using Streamlabs music, like the first few seconds or minute or so of my video on Twitch was flagged. And it's like, you know, you can't win, man. You just can't win. What was I gonna say? Oh yeah, going back to convention stuff. So I got the 4-day ticket for New York Comic Con. I don't know if I know I've griped about this with my buddies. Not sure if I've griped about it on stream. So I got the 4-day ticket because, you know, I got the early access because, you know, when you get a ticket from 1 year, you have the option to they basically send you an email earlier than the general public. So I thank you for coming up last year. As a reward, you get a chance to get a ticket ahead of time this year, right? And I bought the 4-day ticket because I was like, oh, there it is, 4-day ticket. Why not? Well, I'm not gonna say no to that. Because when I said no to it last year, people I wanted to see showed up on Thursday, and I missed that day. Right? So I told myself, not this year, Satan! And I went ahead and bought the 4-day ticket. I was waiting to see Critical Role again. Critical Role showed up the past 2 years at New York Comic Con, and last year they were doing autographs, and I missed out. I want to get one autograph. I want to get Ashley Johnson's autograph because I like the roles she plays. She's voice acted several characters I really like. And she's kind of pretty. But yeah, that's mainly what it is. I want to get her autograph because I really liked her voice acting for like Infinity Train. She was a voice actress and motion capture actress for The Last of Us. You know, her and fellow Critical Role actors as well were in that. But I want to get her autograph. So I bought the 4-day ticket just in case. Just in case. Lo and behold, they did come to New York City for freaking Anime Fest. I mean, they're right now going around promoting this season of Vox Machina. They're doing it everywhere. They're promoting it on their streams. They're promoting it in commercials. They're going hard with it. But they went ahead and did Anime Fest, and for whatever reason, they didn't do New York Comic Con. For whatever reason, I don't know. Could have been a big scheduling issue. But still, I was so disappointed. I'm like, damn it. But like I said, I still enjoyed the convention. Sorry for anyone who finds that noise horrible. I wonder if there's an ASMR for that. Is that the right term? I'm probably saying the wrong term. But like, you have relaxing sounds. Or just like weird sounds, like crumpling paper. I wonder if hearing the sound of someone crack their knuckles is like that. I don't know. Sounds more like a kink to me. So I'm doing all of the colors that are not black. Because at some point I'm going to have to like go back and do clean up edges anyway. So I'm doing all the colors that are not black, like the greens, the grays, the reds. That way, if I do accidentally go over it in black, because the black I'm using is a pretty. You have to go over twice with this black. It's not the best black. But because you have to go over twice, at least I'll have a base coat that's more closer to the color that it should be if it bleeds over. Okay. I'm gonna add a little bit of water to this gray. It's acrylic, so even a small amount goes a long way to keeping it moist. Yeah, I believe that's the red I used. Okay. Let's see. Yep, by going like more or less circular, the gray on this, the light gray, is already dry enough where I could probably mix in the red for the buttons without it bleeding too much. Getting caught in the corner, then it bleeds. keep the palette in my lap. Keep it nice and close. Ooh, we gotta be so gentle. Gotta be so careful. Doesn't help that I need new glasses. Not because I can't see, but because these glasses are all scratched to hell. Doesn't have to be perfect. Just want to get that one coat on it. Freaking... This thing's in the way! Sorry about that. See the smallest little speck of red bleed off, but that's gonna be okay. It's gonna be okay. He says, shaking the table. It's gonna be just fine. It's fine. Come to the west side. Come to the west coast. Join the party. I forget the exact quote from freaking oh god, what's it called? I forgot the quote from not Lethal Weapon. My god, Die Hard. When he's climbing to the vent. Anyway. So stream time as we stream. I had to lower my chair. I've been hunching forward, and that's not a good thing. Let me see if I can get a little closer to this table. Woo! What is that? Ah, that's much better. Without knocking the water everywhere. God, Dante, what's wrong with you? I'm closer to my computer than I'd like when it comes to painting. Anyway. What was I gonna say? Ah, yes. As is common with streams. Put you here. Put you here. Put you here. I got to lean on the table. There we go. Even though I'm like right in the light. So. Hold on. I just dimmed the light a little bit. As is common in our streams. Every so often we stop for a minute to talk about animation. As in, like, what's been going on recently. And I don't mean the political stuff. We know what's going on. If you don't know about the political stuff, if you could call it that, or rather corporate stuff. Let's say corporate stuff. Much like with the writer's strike, animators have been in negotiation for better contracts. From what I understand, they are not on strike. At least last time I checked, they were not on strike. But they are fighting for just, to protect themselves. They're like, listen, we need to fight AI wherever it shows up. But that's not what I want to talk about. I want to talk about the success of recent independent animations. So, Digital Circus, I think, released a third episode. Yep, episode 3. Yeah, because the first episode is officially the pilot. The pilot is officially the first episode. In fact, they did an entire short video just about that. But yeah, episode 3. Gut punches you with the feels. And you know the show is doing good. Outside of any kind of memes, because I saw cosplayers there dressed as side characters. Not even just Kane. There were a few Kanes. Not many Pomnies, actually. A plane of Kanes. And I took a photograph of someone dressed as Gummy Goo from the second episode. Oh, Gummy Goo, you were taken away from us so young. So if you haven't seen The Amazing Digital Circus, by all means, go check it out. It might not be for everyone, but it is a well done show. That's the main takeaway. And it shows you, you know, obviously it's a high quality show in production, but it's still an independent show. You know, they're still funded by like the fans buying stuff for them, and that was now. Before they were just funded on their own, of course, because they were, you know, independent. Duh. And I'm happy to hear that they're doing like contract stuff with, like apparently, even though you can watch the Digital Circus on YouTube for absolutely free, Netflix is also showing it. But they've announced that they're not on Netflix. It's just some weird contracting they did, I guess, to further promote the independent show. And let that show you, and by you, I mean me, that, yeah, like, you know, if you have an idea for a story, for a project, do it. Doesn't matter if it's written, doesn't matter if it's illustrated, doesn't matter if it's fully animated like this show. If you have an idea, don't let your dreams be dreams. Actually go out there and do it. I'm right now painting essentially fan art, if you would, of Nintendo, but I also have some original stuff I'm working on. I have a more original. I have another. Let's say more. I have another original card game that I'm promoting. My first card game was of Tolls and Trolls. I need to actually promote that more. It's already on sale. We need to promote it more. But I also have other card games for fun, like family or group play, that I'm working on. And those are products. I have short stories I also want to push forward. It's just a matter of me prioritizing. This is priority because I have a convention coming up and I want to make sure I have enough stock. But don't think I don't have a list of all the projects I'm working on. I have a list. It's on the list. You make your way through the list piece by piece. Never ever. Any idea you have, write it down. You can always return to it later when you have the time for it. You gotta make time as well, but at least you have it written down so it doesn't get lost. What is this gorilla sounding... Gorillas sounding music right now? Hey, intern. Very Joker-esque at the moment. Fun fact, I made second molds. I have two molds, two silicone molds of these guys. That way, if they do sell well, I'm going to just keep producing. I have one silicone mold of my Game Boy Lollipop. It's a Game Boy cartridge that's melting into the ground, but it's a lollipop. It's a sculpture. A lot of people seem to like these. Like, they really like them, but liking something and then it selling is two different things. People really love these. They love the Game Boy Lollipops. I'm going to lower the price of both this and the other one. Not by much, just, still within the range of me working hard on these. But I am going to lower the price. And then B, I might put these on Etsy. The Game Boy Lollipops are a bit different because each one is different. But I was told you could always... I gotta find out how to do it. But on Etsy, you could basically, like, promote a blank slate of artwork, and then people can say what they want on it. So if you were selling necklaces with a name on it, you could sell them, and people will tell you what name they want. So I gotta figure out how that works. Let me check something, because I don't see the desktop audio registering in my Streamlabs. I hear it, but I don't see it in Streamlabs. Testing. There we go. Sometimes the music goes up and down, and because of that, the Streamlabs doesn't pick it up. Hopefully that'll work. Wait a minute. Did that just go through? Huh. I'm doing random testing. Nope. Something else pinged. Yeah, I still don't know. I still don't know why the audio from my chat notifications isn't going through. Can you see my beard? My scruffy beard. My scruffy beard. You know what? Bear with me, people. I'm gonna do one more check on something. Oh my goodness. As I stand up like an old man. Ah, I think I know what happened. I know what happened. It's the Bluetooth. Come on. We're gonna do a test. T-E-S-T. Let's make it number 8 for no reason. Yep. It's the Bluetooth. So, the Bluetooth picks up the music from Streamlabs, but it does not pick up. It picks up the desktop music, but it doesn't pick up the chat box. It's something completely separate, and that's the issue with this, with that. But if I'm plugged in, I hear it. At least I know it works. Yep, at least I know it works. I don't need it right now because I am literally staring at my screen the whole time. But I know it works. What the heck? All right. Okay. So we know it works, people. It was a Bluetooth. The Bluetooth picks up the desktop audio, but the chat box, for whatever reason, is not considered part of that. But since I'm actually sitting down at my computer looking at it, we don't need it right now. It was just bugging me. Okay. So the next step, I don't want to use up this gray. But what I need to do is add a little bit more black to it. Because we're going to start doing the smaller black details. Oh, sorry, the smaller, deeper gray. Freaking Game Boys are like 4 shades of gray and black, for crying out loud. Or, you know what? before you do that, as boring as it is, let's do another round of red. Now that the reds, because it's a thin layer of red, so they're dry by now. Does this sound remind me of like making Christmas, la la la? Halloween is not dead. And if it is dead, it's time for Thanksgiving, not Christmas. You tell people to put those damn Christmas lights away. You know, put some, even if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, American Thanksgiving, put some leaf out, put some oranges and pumpkin colors. It's still fall, or the start of it anyway. I'm just gonna add a bit, another layer to the top of these. There we go. Gotta be very careful. I'm just gonna add a pinch of black to this to darken that gray. Just a pinch. Almost. I want to say that'll do it. Yeah. Right about there. Perfecto. could actually be a little darker. Such a minute difference in the colors of gray. But you know, to a fan, it makes a difference. It's this bottom line. I don't know how well you can see it. I'll show it on this one. Less glare. It's 4 rectangles and like a really thin rectangle on the bottom. It's that bottom one that's a pain in the butt. Yeah. Once again, this paint, this basic craft smart paint, like the black is not as like the opacity in the black isn't where you want it. So I definitely have to do more than one pass whenever I paint with it. As I do these, I'm reminded of all the games I have to finish. There's so many video games I start but don't finish. Like a while back, I actually got on the Wii. Got started out with Wii. Someone gave me the Thousand Year Door. I think that's what it's called, the Thousand Year Door. And I don't really play games like that. It's a lot like the Final Fantasy games. Not MMO. I forget the actual name is. The actual name of the art of the game style. I just don't play that kind of game that much. And I was enjoying it, but it was getting like kind of complicated, and I kind of fell off of it. But to get back into it, I have to like remember how the game is and where all the secret doors are at. And I'm like, oh god. So it's a pain to like get back into a game that's like really complicated if you don't like play it straight through. Woo! That is loud. Alright, this darker gray needs a bit more time to dry up before I do the second pass. Speaking of second pass, let's do another pass of the green. This could definitely use like some of these. The green comes off a little chalky, so I could definitely use, like you said, like a white spot right there. Oh no! It flickered. It flickered onto this one. No! What will we do? What will we ever do? That's fine. What I want to do is get right in there, right into the teeth marks on this. The green has to get right up in there. There we go. Now we're just doing little touch-ups right now. I got some Mod Podge. I'm debating if I wanna like essentially do a not a gloss, but like a coat over not just these, but even the older ones, just to help prevent like scratching. I've heard suggestions from a few people. I should maybe add a magnet in the back and turn these into like fridge magnets. Just something to give them a bit more versatility other than just a nice art piece to have on your table, you know? Wouldn't hurt. There we go. All of these are hit with a basic spray paint primer. Remember, there's primer and there's spray paint and primer 2-in-1. That stuff is annoying because certain paints don't stick well to spray paint. They just kind of slide off. Or when they dry, they crack. So unless you want it to be that color, spray paint and spray paint primer 2-in-1, like spray paint primer, and then spray paint primer and paint. There you go. The 2-in-1, it's not the best choice for certain projects. Because I've done acrylic on the 2-in-1 and it just cracks. It leaves like lightning strikes through it. It doesn't look good. Not cool lightning, you know. Whoop! Excuse me. So I could hold it and then try to do all the little block details, all the little guys. Or now that the grays, the light grays dried up, I could just go right ahead and do the handles, which I think I want to do. Because the black requires a lot more fine detailing where I have to like take it away from the camera. A box of colors. Just gotta remember what color I used. There it is. That was easy. That's gold. That is not what I used. Yeah, I think I did this, then I just added some white to it, and that's how I got it. Yeah, you might notice that the coloring, the shading, if you would, is far more like a shell shading. Cell shading. There we go. Just a simple strike of color here, strike of color there, strike of color there. strikes of colors on the red buttons, a strike of like a lighter gray or grayish on the remote. On the remote, on the remote, on the buttons. In fact, you know what? Yeah, it's the same kind of gray anyway. Let's put some of this. Let's put. Ooh, keep knocking the table. Keep knocking the table. I'm gonna take this the darker gray we have here, and straight up ahead of time do a streak. I have to blow on it to get it into the little arrows that are on the remote. Yes, I did put the arrows on there too. Can't really do the next coat of the gray, the dark gray. It's still like whatever reason it's still watery. All right. Come on. We will use. Nah, we can still use this guy. I need to change my water because that green ain't cleaning off yet. There we go. Toss that rag away. Trying to find a way to position this. There we go. So right now, a good chunk of my merchandise for my convention table is video game related. More on the retro game stuff like Nintendo remotes and Game Boy cartridges. Right? As well as tabletop stuff, such as my D-holders, which are sculpted monsters with dice for eyes. They have dice for eyes. My 3D printed dice books, which I'm thinking of yet doing another edit to. I'm thinking of editing the file to include magnets in them. That way they actually close. Cause I edited the file recently to make the lid and the body close even cleaner, and also for it to print far cleaner, less individual pieces. But even then, now that it's printing cleaner with less individual pieces, it's still not clipping close very well. It just takes one piece to be glued slightly out of place, and it just causes trouble. So I'm debating if I should change the model to include the inclusion. Yeah, to include. There we go. To include. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. To include a small divot, so then I could then add a magnet to it, so that the lid actually clips shut via magnet. So I removed some, thanks to the new modeling, I removed some of the work. But now I might have to reintroduce a different type of work that needs to go into it. And there will be a test printing. Oh, so many test printing. It wouldn't be as bad if the piece I was test printing didn't take freaking like 8 hours to print. Which is another thing. I find tables at conventions, and these are individual tables, right? They're not owned by a company or whatever. And they're doing 3D printing, but to be honest, they're printing stuff that they're obviously getting offline. I do pass one or two places where the guys are like, oh no, these are our files. Like, we designed this, we made this. Or that they'll get the file online and then they'll do editing to it and then really make it their own, which I think is okay too. But like, I passed one at New York Comic Con where the entire table was nothing but those little it's all printed in one piece, like an alligator or a lizard, and when you take them off, they're all like wiggly and they shake because it's like they're all printed once, but they're done in such a way where they're all interlocked, like the body parts are all interlocked, and I'm like, this guy's booth was nothing but that, with the exception of a really cool Bender from Futurama. Like, he got the license to use the Bender, and he altered the size of it. And I suggested something to him. I was like, why don't you try doing A, B, and C with this Bender? And he was like, that might be kind of cool. I won't tell you what it was, but it was a Bender head. It was a Bender's head, which is like a cylinder. That you could put on your table, and you could readjust the eyes to make him look angry or happy or sad or whatever. And I said, I'll just tell you. I suggested, since you already have him about yay big, that's the head, right? It's a cylinder about yay big. I was like, well, what you could do is, if you alter the model slightly and make it hollow, you can make it a beer topper, like for a can. Like, you just put Bender's head on top of the can, They really sell, and I told them they sell Duff beer. They sell fake beer with the Duff logo. People would love to combine that with a little Bender printout. And that was it. I shared my 2 cents, wished them a good day, and kept going. Because I'm not going to linger over and be like, take my idea, it's so great. Oh, because I've had guys do that at my table. I have an idea for you, man. You should try doing this. Like, oh, thanks. No, you should really try. It's like, oh, okay, dude, okay. Calm your tits. Yeah, it's coming together now. It's all coming up Millhouse. Just checking my phone. I got a weird ping. A ping, a pong, a pong, a pink. I need a drink. Alright. Okay, I think now the dark gray spots have dried enough where I could do another layer, because they're going to need that second layer anyway. For the real trick, you have the rim, which is a light gray. I'll use this one, you can see it better. You have the rim, which is a light gray. You have a little bit of dark gray, then a little bit of black, and then you have the next batch of light gray. I had a weird song stuck in my head. You're the best around. Someone's talking about me. Nothing's gonna ever bring you down. You're the best around. I want to get the very edge right here. There we go. Close as we can without having to redo the light gray. There we go. Alright, so now we're going to start painting the blacks in. We'll start with the easy spots, like broad area around the remotes, around the, I keep saying the remote, around the button. And then we'll slowly start making our way to finer details. You need to get a better black. All right. Clean my fingers, 'cause I'm going to have to hold this. Hold these in a weird spot. Whoop. Let's lean. I gotta lean into it. And you can see it's like semi-transparent, like it's not the best shade of black. And the paint set I showed you, the big box I have over to the side, has a great selection of colors, but I realized black isn't in there. The one I thought was black is actually a really, really deep brown. And I'll hold it at just the right angle because I know it's a shine. I'm thinking maybe I should just mix this black with something else to hopefully get the color I want. So what I'm doing right now, I'm actually like doing the rim of the controller buttons. The D-pad. There we go. That's what I'm thinking of, the D-pad. It's the same as the rest. I have to let this dry and then go in there with a second coat and like build up the layers. But yeah, it is time I go and buy myself like a legitimate good black paint. I have no idea what's going on with this music and sound effects. Go. Now the real trick is the really thin lines in between those grays I was talking about. But if I take the excess off of this brush and just lightly do it, it should work. So, anyone who's been going around, especially on Twitter, have you guys seen like this little anime character that like the Catholic Church the Catholic Church has created. The Catholic Church created their own little like anime mascot girl. She's like a little girl in like in a yellow like raincoat or like with a staff. She's meant to represent like pilgrims and I guess not so much pilgrims like American pilgrims, but like what's the word I'm thinking of? Basically explorers, if that makes sense. What's the word? There's a word for people who travel to other countries to like spread the word of like Jesus and stuff. I forget the actual name of that. That's what she is, and she is adorable. I have to admit she's adorable, and I do want to see pictures of her fighting evil, just straight up, just fighting like demons and stuff. Like more anime, less church, just straight up, just like I am a force of good, just like defeating people. And it's this great thing online where everyone's drawing fan art of her. But like among the art community, there's also this thing was like, do not draw dirty artwork of her. Like among the art community, like people have just agreed, don't do that. Got it's like this slightly opaque. Kind of watery, that's what it is. But anyway, that's like get away from the shine. There you go. Tilted away from the shine. That's more or less what we're aiming for. I can always go back and do another coat, which I'm gonna have to. It's crazy though. Give me a second. This is just stupid. I gotta have something that can mix into this which will work. Where are you? Where are you, bastard? This guy. I thought he was black. He is not. He is brown. But come on. If I mix some of it in there, it will hopefully, don't just spill, drop the opacity. That will hopefully still dry blackish. Because right now I'm painting with it and it's just like, it is not working for me. Yeah, hopefully it won't dry brownish. Hopefully it will still dry what I'm aiming for. It feels better, like it has like a thickness to it, which is good. Not perfect. A little better though. I'm sorry, the music just got to me right now. Is it just one guy doing all the vocals? You have to use a voice changer for each character. Sorry. Like the actual like music is nice. The vocals are like, this is your decision. Whose idea was this? I'm getting sloppy with this one. So one of the things people kept asking me was whether or not these were candy. Like, are these edible? I go, no, they're not edible. Because they're acrylic painted, so they have like a texture to them. So people kept asking me over and over again if these were like soaps or like chocolates or something. It didn't help that I was like next to an actual booth selling cookies shaped like your favorite video game characters. It's like, no, we are two different booths. Thank you very much. Those guys actually sold out. It's like, good for them, man. You know, there's a little bit of jealousy there, I admit, but at the same time, I'm like, good for them, though. They were, it was just like, I think it was a couple. It was a man and woman, or young man and woman. And they were selling, like, chocolates and cookies, all with, like, video game themes. And they sold out by the second day of Long Island Retro Gaming. They sold out, and they walked away. They were like, okay, I guess we'll just walk around and enjoy the con. I said, go ahead, man, go for it, enjoy yourselves. With that being said, I did make the table back with enough to cover my travel as well, which was way more than it should have been. That's the thing with Long Island Retro. It just cost too much money to travel back and forth by myself. So I covered I covered the table, the travel, and a little extra. If travel hadn't been what it was, I would have made a lot more money profit-wise. So it wasn't a flop. I just do wish more of these sold. Like the money-wise, it wasn't a flop. But it's also a thing of like, man, why didn't these sell? That's what it is. People could love it, but they just don't have a need for it. You know? That's what it is with any product. I'm trying to think now. As I paint this Nintendo product, what big Nintendo games are coming out? Usually by now you start seeing all the commercials and like advertisement dropping for like the next game to buy by the holidays. You know? Like any big name stuff I keep hearing about already dropped. Right? Did the second Zelda game already... The second Zelda game already came out, right? Ain't no new Splatoon. So I do wonder, what's the next big one? So I don't know if I'll get the second coat of black on these. By the time I want to kind of end the stream today. Cause we're already reaching the 2 hour mark. But I do want to get at least this one coat of black on all of them. So at least the base coat for everything is in there. The highlights and the corrections, or well, no, that'll come later. Okay, there we go. I'm right now thinking, like I said earlier, when you have multiple art projects, you have to, don't forget them. Write them down, make a list. Not so much a calendar, unless you really need that help, like getting organized. But make a list of all the art projects, and then organize them into a tier list. So right now, this is top of the tier at the moment. I want to get these done before the next con, and then also have another project for the convention that if once these are done, I could hopefully squeeze in a few of those just to see how they sell. But along that, along with that is of course general life stuff as well. So for example, I have been collecting more and more arts and craft material. Not so much just art material, but like crafting material. Items for props, plastic bits, you name it. I'm a pack rat. And I want to, for a second time, go into my closet and reorganize everything. You know, I have a closet. So the top half is everything that hangs. All my clothes are hanging. And the bottom half are like makeshift shelves I have at the moment. Just shelves that are holding on to, like, you name it. Every little bit of... Oh, that came out weird. Gotta redo that later. Every little bit of bits of plastic and tubing and stuff I say I'm gonna use this to make something at some point. That kind of nonsense. So I'm thinking tomorrow, before I jump into the completion of these, I'm gonna do that. Because I got art stuff everywhere. You can't work if you don't... it's hard to work when your workstation is nearly non-existent because it's covered in crap. and any artist will tell you, is a controlled chaos. We do know where everything's at. But at some point, you gotta organize stuff. It doesn't help that I've been slowly building up stuff for costumes as well. I literally found for like $7 a steel chainmail hood. I freaking bought that as soon as I could. I was like, oh crap, it's like chainmail hood, $7. Boom, bought it. It's in a box. It's gonna go on a shelf with other props and costume stuff for future projects. But I need to make the shelf. Man, I don't know how some people paint like legit miniatures, freaking Warhammer stuff. I don't know. My hands are not built for that. I'm talking about paintbrushes that have like only 3 hairs on them. So I do have alternatives to these, where instead of painting them, I literally just prime them and then spray painting them gold, like just solid, like kind of like old Nickelodeon, like the old Nickelodeon awards was like a box of gold popcorn or a box of like, or like the gold blimp, if you remember the blimp. So I have like 3 of these which are just like solid gold, kind of meant to mimic the old Zelda cartridge. For those of you who remember that. And for those of you who don't, the idea was the Triforce is split between the 3 people, of course. Link, Ganon, or Ganondorf, the big old pig, has a Triforce of Strength. He kidnapped Zelda to get the Triforce of Wisdom from her, more or less. And then you, the player, have the Triforce of Courage. So the original Nintendo cartridge, which was like that. For those of you who don't know, it was a cartridge that big. Was painted gold to kind of give you this like idea of like adventure, and this is yours, this is your cartridge. black paint is garbage. Sorry for not being as chatty as I could be. Just kind of in the zone, as it is. Whew. All right. We're gonna let those blacks dry, and we're gonna go ahead. I'm gonna try and mix some. I need to get a. Not this yellow's too mustardy. I need to get another yellow I have, and we're gonna try and reach this same color of green to do the green highlights. See? Without me spilling the water. Stand by. I think and hope it was this color yellow. So try and find that sweet spot. It's gonna be a pain in the butt. But let's see what we get. Ooh, I That just spat everywhere. Yep, awesome. That's it. Got it in one. Got it in the first try. Nice. Just a wee bit more yellow in there. Yeah, that's better. Just a wee bit. Just a wee lass. Because the green doesn't really come in contact with anything else on the remote. So it makes it a lot easier to just jump into this while we wait for the black to dry. Not have to worry about, you know, cleaning the edges. Just go right into it. I like this music. Very nice. Very soothing. Has a slight melancholy to it. Like the main character, you know, looking out into the distance kind of feel. Let's retouch this one, the first one we did. You know what? No, let it dry. We'll add a layer on top. Let it dry first. Ugh, I just remembered. Another thing to add to the list of things to do, aside from organizing my personal space, I need to go back to my website, the official daburgosart.com. I want to fix it up. I want to readjust it. You know, I'm looking at other websites, how they handle their like, I guess their main page. Like I wanna fix it up. It's just a bit of a learning curve. I use Wix, and Wix is, it's a bit of a learning curve for any website. But yeah, I need to change a few things, make it look a little bit more presentable. I was talking to Clitoris Rex about how, like, I see people who use airbrush for like fine detailing. And that's just another skill I don't have as of yet. And like I'll use an airbrush to do like broad colors, and maybe to do the green and the grays. But at a certain point, I gotta pick up a paintbrush and actually like work on the finer detail stuff. So at that point, I'm like, screw it. I'll just do the whole thing in a regular paintbrush. Jumping back and forth with a big ass freaking airbrush compressor. I don't know. I use my airbrush more for like if I'm doing a prop, and I want like really smooth, not obvious paintbrushes. Then I'll do the airbrush. But for this, I don't mind it having like an obvious done by hand texture feel to it. It gives it a more candy like texture, which is what I'm okay with. I'm okay with like globs of paint here and there. It doesn't have to be perfect. It's a freaking ice cream bar, you know? I still want to get as close as I can to getting the details, but in the end, I'm okay with a little bit of a mess. I'm not even waiting for it to dry. I'm just putting blobs of paint here and there where I want it. Yeah, look at that. Look at those. Those look real nice like that. Whoops. All right. Whew, it is 10:20. As I said, we're now entering the fine detailing stage. And I'm a little bit burnt out for that. But we have the base colors. We have the greens pretty much done. All we gotta do now is fine tune the blacks and the shades of grays that go in between that. Being stingy with my paint. Touching up the dark gray while I still have it, because it's starting to dry up now. Okay, that seems... Oh, no. You know, now that the black is starting to dry on the edges, I could add a little bit of this dark gray back into the rectangles. Gonna use this tiny square off brush. Dip that into our light gray. Let me see. Get rid of this green I accidentally touched on. Once again, just doing small touch-ups. Get rid of this green I accidentally touched on. Get rid of a little bit of the black. This is the part now where I'm going to be going back and forth, correcting, painting, correcting again. That seems good. That seems good. This one has a little bit of black that overlapped. There we go. Yeah. You know what? I think I'm going to call it tonight because I am getting a little drowsy. Gonna spray some water in this. Hopefully it'll survive into tomorrow. Someone just dropped in. Hey. Red Spectra, sorry. I didn't see you pop in there, dude. Good to have you. Oh, I don't know if you popped in earlier then bounced out, but I installed a new so they have a chat alert box. I'm using Bluetooth headphones, which doesn't work with it. But normally, if I just had a cord and I was plugged directly into my computer, when you respond in a chat, I now hear a slight ping. That way, I don't have to keep looking back and forth between what I'm doing in chat. Good to have you get in here. Oh, thanks for joining, man. But yeah, I'm just finishing up. I'm just this was once again a previous piece that was already painted. I'm using it as a guide to just do a few more of these. Just trying to stock up a bit for the November convention. Let me actually double check that. Stand by. The November convention, which is Big Apple Comic Con. Let me see. Big Apple Comic Con. Oh, stand by. I lost the. So they have. Okay, funny thing is, they have my photograph and description up on Big Apple Comic Con. But for some reason, they have a link to a random T-shirt website, which I am not a part of. I don't have. I gotta let them know about that. I don't know why they're trying to advertise me as having a freaking website where I sell T-shirts. Yeah. They're linking me Dante Burgos T-shirts on a website that I don't. Must be like an old account that I made way back when, but I don't use the website. Anyway, November 23rd. November 23rd is Big Apple Comic Con's Holiday Con. It's a one-day event. You have artists. You have famous artists, doing autographs and stuff. You have artists like myself selling stuff. I do not know why they have me. They have me linked to a website for T-shirts. I need to let them know to not use that link. Let me see. Does my Instagram work? Yeah, the Instagram link is correct. The Twitter link, that is correct as well. The T-shirt link, I must have made. I think I just made an account, but never did anything with it. So I need them to not use that. Don't use that. It makes no sense. But yeah, Big Apple Comic Con, November 23rd. Yeah, the weekend before Thanksgiving. It's the last con. It's the last convention I'll be into. Once again, I've gone to Big Apple Comic Con's spring 2-day convention. It's nice. Definitely more for people. It's not as mixed in terms of topics like New York Comic Con. It is like closer to the chest, smaller convention. You can walk around the whole convention like in one day. It's like a 2-day event. Lots of older artists there, like older famous comic artists, black and white artists from like back in the day. I think like kind of Frank Frazetta stylish, if you would. I've heard through the grapevine that the convention is the reason those guys are always there is because the guy who hosts it is a huge fan of it. It's like it's a way of him gaining his favorite like artist there. But then you have artists like me, like nobodies who show up there. So yeah, that's gonna hopefully be fun to do. And I think that is it. Thank you for dropping in at the last minute, dude. Good to see you. Anyone watching this, check out Red Spectre's Twitch account whenever you can. He's into like retro games never heard of that will originate from Japan that never made it to the States. Just overall fun stuff. Check out his website if you can. And I believe that is it. I am gonna go ahead and shut off this music for now. I'm gonna turn off my headset because now I have got a headache from wearing these freaking headsets. Anyway, editor. All right, so it's true. He hasn't streamed in a while, but when he does stream, check it out. Follow him. You'll like his stuff. With that being said, my regular spiel. Check out my all my little accounts here. Instagram for work in progress. Twitter, even though it's slowly becoming a mess, for my ramblings. YouTube, all these videos get saved permanently on YouTube. DeviantArt has a lot of my completed stuff as well. And like I mentioned earlier, up here, theburglesart.com is my slowly developing website where you can see portfolios of stuff I've done, small portfolios. And I want to say that's about it. So once again, guys, I am Dante. Like, favorite, share, subscribe, and all that good stuff. And I'll see you in the future. Later.